Have you been going to the gym for months or even a year? But when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's like nothing really changed. You may be a bit stronger, yes, but you don't really look stronger. So you're asking yourself, am I wasting all of this time at the gym? I've been there too. I thought I was training hard and I was doing everything right until I realized that I was making the same mistakes that kill 90% of people's progress in the gym. So today I'm going to be breaking down the most common mistakes that is killing your progress at the gym. And the first one is ego lifting. Ego lifting is when you try to lift more weight than you can actually control. Not because your muscle is ready for it, but your ego wants to impress someone. You want to impress the people around you. That's ego lifting. You start sacrificing your form. You start doing half reps. You don't use your full range of motion. You're using your momentum instead of tension in your muscles. And what happens after that? You might lift more weights, but your muscles aren't getting stronger. You aren't building your muscles. You're just training bad habits. Because the truth is, your muscles build when they are under tension. So you need that tension in your muscles so that they can actually be built correctly. And I made this mistake myself. I tried to lift more weights just so that I can say that I did this weight, but I wasn't using the proper form, the proper techniques that I was supposed to be using to maximize my muscle gains. And once I dropped the weight and actually focus on doing it correctly, that's when my progress skyrocketed. So here's what you should do instead. Use a weight that lets you hit your rep range with good form. So the last two reps should feel tough but shouldn't be sloppy. And secondly, focus on squeezing your muscles. Slow it down. Not too much, obviously. You don't have to be going slow motion, but slow it down so you can actually focus on your muscle. And one extra tip is to record your sessions once a week so that you can actually see what you are doing, your form. You can actually analyze it through the video. Remember, you don't need to lift heavy. You need to lift right. That's the most important thing. And the second mistake that most people make, and it ties into ego lifting, is poor form. Bad form doesn't just hinder your muscle growth, it kills it because you are not working your muscle fully and you're actually risking injury. And your body starts to learn the wrong movement patterns. So when I start a completely new exercise that I don't know, I start extremely light so I can focus on moving the weight correctly before I start thinking about my ego or start trying to actually work the muscle. Because I have to first do the exercise correctly before I can start adding more weight. So also when you start a new exercise, lower the weight, even if it feels like a hit in your ego. Lower the weight so you can actually perform the exercise correctly. And secondly, don't just go through the motion. Actually focus on the muscle that you are trying to hit because that activates the muscle even more. Once your reps are clean and your form is correct, then you should start chasing progressive overload and start adding more weights over time. The third mistake is a lack of rest. The truth is, when you're in the gym, you are not building muscle. You are actually breaking down your muscle. And the building starts when you're outside the gym. All the other things, the rest, the sleep, the nutrition that you feed yourself, that is what happens and that's what makes your muscles grow. A lot of people still think that the more you train, the more you will build, the more muscle you will build. But the truth is, you are just making yourself more fatigued. And when you work out the next time, you are working out more tired and you run the risk of your form becoming poor, which ultimately leads to you not progressing as fast as you could be progressing. So, what I do is I train 3 times a week, full body Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This allows me to hit every major muscle group while still giving me time to rest and recover my muscles. So, what I focus on for recovery is sleep. I try to aim for at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep so that my muscles can get adequate rest and actually repair itself. Secondly, is stretching. When you just work out and you don't actually stretch your muscles or your body, you become stiff and that can prevent or even hinder correct form. And lastly, what I focus on is nutrition. Your body can't grow if it doesn't have the proper fuel. And the fourth mistake that most people make is inconsistency. Most people don't fail because they don't know what to do or they're not doing it correctly. It's simply because they're not doing it for long enough and consistent enough to see the progress. Most people will train hard for 3 days or even a week or even 2 weeks. But what happens after that? They take a break. And that short break turns into weeks missed, months missed, and then they become inconsistent. And then they wonder why they're not seeing progress. Oh, the gym isn't working. No, you are not working out consistently, or you're not doing the correct things consistently to actually start seeing the progress. Here's what consistency actually looks like: showing up when you don't feel like it, training at least 3 times every week and not 6 times just for 1 week, and tracking your lifts, your progress, your good habits, and seeing if you are improving over time. If you've been training for months and still look the same, that has to be a sign to show you that you're doing something wrong and it's time to change it. Don't just do the same exact thing and expect different results. Consistency isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Keep doing the things that you need to be doing, even when you don't feel like it. And the fifth most common mistake is not tracking your progress. You can't improve what you don't measure. Most people go to the gym and forget what they did the last time, so they end up lifting the exact same weights over time and wonder why they're not getting stronger. That's like driving without a map. You may be driving, yes, you're going on the path, but you don't even know where you're going. So what I do to track my progress is I use an app called Strong. You can get it on Play Store or even on the App Store, I think. Is what this app allows you to do is to track everything that you're doing in the gym. Your reps, the exercise that you're doing, the amount of sets that you are doing, your rest time, and you can actually see the history of the workouts that you have done in the past. So you can look at where you've come from and where you are now. That's how you track your workouts effectively. And that little bit of progress that you see when you start tracking your workouts, that's what gives you extra motivation to continue doing what you need to be doing. And number 6, and the one that I struggle with the most because I was scared of doing it, is most people don't train hard enough. I was scared because I didn't want to push myself too hard because I was scared of getting injured. But that's because I was ego lifting. And once you train hard with the correct form, you are giving your muscles enough tension to actually become stronger. You should be finishing your last set and you can't even do another rep. That's how your last set should look like. That's when you know you're training hard enough. So here's how I approach it. Let's say I'm doing bench press for 3 sets and 6 reps. That last set has to be close to failure. If it's not, the weight isn't right. But if it is, then I know I'm doing the right weight. And then after a few sessions, I try to increase the amount of reps I do on my last set. If I can go to 7, then on my next session, I start all my sets with 7 reps. I repeat this process until I can get to 10 reps on all my sets while maintaining the proper form. Once I can do this, I add 2.5 or 5 kg on the lift that I was doing. That's how I train hard enough every single week. Everyone wants the physique, the good, lean, strong physique. But no one wants to fix the mistakes or even take the time to look at the mistakes that they are doing. So if you've been training for a while and you still look the same, this is a wake-up call for you to actually analyze what you've been doing in this time and actually see if these mistakes fit into your category. And if it does, it's time to make a change. You become the person you want to be by pushing through the times you want to quit.